thought you'd be bigger. But you're definitely the one. Long way from home, aren't you?
I love God of War. I was not familiar with the franchise until this year. When I got deep into it, when the announcement of Ragnarok came around, and there is something that always sticks with me when it comes from this franchise, that being the theme of tragedy. So in episode 2 of this series, and the recent release of Ragnarok around the corner, let's dive into the masterclass of tragedy these games show. Now, God of War is a very story-driven franchise. That's pretty self-explanatory. So the franchise needed a few key elements to ensure the story could stay fresh and powerful to the players. The basic elements being rage, revenge, regret, and of course, tragedy. But the tragedy in the games are complemented by the other elements alongside it, and those alongside the genuinely complex and interesting character that is Kratos helps to shape the events that would unfold. But I feel it goes deeper than that. Hell, I believe the tragedy is the main ingredient that stays with the whole franchise, from the first game all the way up to Ragnarok. So what is the tragedy of God of War? The tragedy is the idea that the past will never leave you. No matter how far you run and where you hide, the past will always catch up with you. The horrors you've committed and the echoes of misery you've caused will always come back to confront you. The tragedy of God of War is that the terror of your past will never leave you. Kratos, no matter how many lives he saves, no matter how many lands he travels, he will always be cursed with the haunting memories of what he did to his own family and what he did to his homeland, and who he was all those years ago. Those memories will always be with him. They will be forever shown in his scars, his tattoo, and his ash that covers his skin. Kratos will try all he can to make a new family, to start over, but that will never be enough. Because the death of the past will always be scarred into his mind, a reminder that he can never find peace within himself. And it's that past that will affect the future for him moving forward. Throughout the 2018 game and Ragnarok, Kratos is a much different man than when we saw him last. He's become cold, calm, stubborn, and older. He started a new life in a new land with new rules and new gods. He now has a family for himself after all the years of him being alone. He now has a reason to move on, but it's that reason as to why he feels he can't. It's his past that will always have a hold on Kratos, as it is the past that prevents him from being there for his son and wife. That's the reminder plastered into his skin of what he could do when he snaps. If he were to break, what could he do to his family? He could possibly leave more bloodshed. He could slaughter everything he's tried to rebuild. And so when Faye passes, Kratos, too held back from his grief and his sorrow, struggles to reach and love his son. Only when he's on the brink of death does he realize he can no longer run from who he was. The past will always be with him. The past he spent running from has finally caught up with him. His karma has found him after all these years. No matter how far he traveled, it's always going to be with him. It's always going to find him. It's always going to deliver justice. Kratos, for once, finally finds peace within himself. Finally finds someone who he can be himself with again. Who he can nurture and love. And show him how to be a fierce warrior, a compassionate man. But he can't, because Kratos is a defier of prophecy. He's a monster of his own making. And when he's not the monster anymore, someone else will always be that monster, such as Balder, Thor, and Odin. All these people who know of the ghost of Sparta and will, no matter where they are or who they are, will always do anything they can to bring an end to the tyrant. They will do anything they can to kill Kratos and his everything he's built. Because when you leave such a legacy, everyone will want you dead. And even when he tries to do what's right, he only will make new enemies. And even when he can finally be safe with his son, he's grown up and he's moved on. Kratos will forever either be alone or destined to fight someone else. That's one reason why I love these games. The gameplay is fantastic. The story is remarkably genius. The characters are so full of history and depth that it's hard not to enjoy them. They have great visuals, brilliant design, and they are just overall fantastic. But overall, God of War is a tale about one man, and how that man is the monster he tries to fight every day. Kratos is a force of nature, whether he likes it or not. He is a man made a god. And it's that legacy that will always leave him as a target to someone. And it's those powers and memories are what both gives him all his strength and rage and ability to kill a god at the price of haunting him for all his days, with the imagery of his slaughtered loved ones, of the imagery of his own father betraying him and leaving him to die, the memories that he can never escape, and fear that it will happen again. And no matter how many times he runs, hides, fights, kills, and loves, he will forever be a monster. And that's the tragedy of God of War.